So I went through all the mazes at Universal Studios, but the Insidious one was the most terrifying. I think I closed my eyes halfway through.
Good.
So I'm not sure I fully experienced.
See, you have to go again. You have to go again.
Yes, I have to go. I have to say I'm kind of fanning out because I'm a huge thriller fan. Split, Get Out, some of my favorite films.
Oh, good.
So I'm curious, when you are looking for a film to produce, what is kind of like a defining factor or a key factor?
The key factor is it has to feel original. I really try. I really look for things. When we all get in a room, some people like it, some people don't like it, but if someone says, God, I can't think of a movie this reminds me of, we tend to make those movies.
And then how do you decide? You have Insidious Chapter 4 coming out in January. So how do you decide whether you want to do a sequel? Of course, you all worked on Paranormal Activity, which had several films as well.
We did. We make a sequel. I guess the biggest way we decide is if the original filmmaker wants to keep going. I can't imagine saying no to that. That's really what it is. Like Jordan is not so sure about making Get Out. I don't think there's going to be a sequel to Get Out. But if the original filmmaker wants to do it, we're pretty much game.
Yeah, I don't think we can top Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out, we got to leave it alone.
But come on, you know you pitched Get In.
I think Get In.
I know you pitched Get In. Don't even try it.
No, I can say that if Jordan walked in my door and said, I got a great idea for the sequel to Get Out, I would be very excited. But I would never. I think it's better that it exists on its own. So I do think that it's right the way it is.
It's like a perfect movie.
It is.
So I don't want to mess with it.
Now, of course, the reason we're here, Happy Death Day, coming out soon, Friday the 13th. Now, Chris, the directing for this film, I loved how in some of the scenes, because she's reliving these days, you kind of had this technique where you made us feel delirious or how she felt. So can you talk through just the thought process and the approach for this film?
Absolutely. My director of photography, Toby Oliver, who's amazing, we had a lot of conversations about how we wanted to avoid a visual repetition. We obviously needed to establish the day and then repeat it once and kind of keep the style similar, but we made little adjustments initially to light. And so like on the second day, if you really pay attention, there's more shadows and there's things like that happening. But then as the days repeat and progress, and we get more inside her head, we really wanted the camera work to reflect that. And so that's why we start to go a lot more handheld, and it gets very shaky, and we started to play with other toys to really sort of show her mental state. And that was really important to me, was to be inside the character's head.
And as a director, how do you make sure that actors don't honestly just get bored with redoing these scenes over and over again?
I think the fun for all of us, and it started even in the writing, but it translated all the way through shooting the movie, was that even though you're repeating the same moments, there were little tiny tweaks and changes and adjustments that were always happening. And so I think there was something really fun for the actors to get to experience that and play with that and see, like, if I move this way, if I do the line this way, it had an effect on everything else. And so I think that was definitely the fun of doing it. And so we never got bored. I mean, I can't speak for them. Maybe they did, but
I just spoke to them. They said they did it.
Yeah.
So last question, when you first read the script, who did you think the killer was?
Can I talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah, who did you think it was?
When I first read the script, I
did you change
well,
that?
I changed it.
You changed that, yeah.
I changed it. So
yeah.
There was a version of, there was a similarity, but it was changed, and how it was discovered changed, and I don't know when you're gonna show us, but there were actually multiple killers, like at the same time in the first version.
Right. I thought it was Chris Landon.
Yeah.
Okay. Which makes sense.
It was me, of course.
Give me your resume. Well, thank you so much. What a pleasure.